John Deere recalled nearly 148,000 tractors because the brakes can quit on you mid-hill. That's number 7 on this list, and it's the mild one. Not a rumor, not a forum scare. It's filed with the Federal Safety Commission, recall number and all. And the recall isn't even the scandal. The scandal is the pattern under it. The slow swap from selling you a machine to renting you the right to use one. 7 things hide under that green paint. Remember one word as we go. Ownership. It comes back at number 1. By the end, you'll know the 7 that should scare you, the few that quietly outwork the badge for less, and the underdog story everybody tells wrong. Number 7. The compact you probably priced out at the lot. The 1023E, the 1025R, the 2025R, the little green machines every hobby farm wants. In September of 2024, Deere pulled nearly 148,000 of them. A part called the front bell crank, the link that runs your brakes, can fail. When it goes, you lose braking. The Safety Commission logged 4 failures first, and 1 put somebody in the hospital. Here's the part that stops you. These sold for roughly $13,000 to $21,000 each. That's not a cheap import cutting corners. That's the premium badge you paid extra for because it was the safe choice. A brake that can quit isn't a typo in a manual. It's in the recall filing, signed and dated. That's number 7, and we haven't started. Number 6. The engine you think you bought. Lift the hood on that 1025R and you'll find a Yanmar diesel, a Japanese motor Deere has leaned on for about 30 years. That's no insult. Yanmar builds a good engine. But it means the thing you paid a green premium for shares its heart with tractors wearing cheaper paint. I personally think the motor's fine. It's the badge markup I've got a problem with. Same heart, different sticker, and the sticker is where the margin lives. That's number 6. Hold that thought because it pays off later. Number 5, and this one you can smell. Back in 2011, Deere recalled about 36,000 of its X300 series lawn tractors over the Kawasaki engines. A cooling fan could break, the engine would overheat, the plastic around it would melt, and the thing could catch fire. The Safety Commission counted 163 failures. 83 of those were reports of the engine melting or burning. Sit with that. 83 fires before it became a recall. Deere blamed a bad batch of fans from a supplier, and maybe so. But the owner on top of it didn't get a vote on the supplier. That's number 5. Pause here because 3 reveals in, the thread already shows. Brakes that fail, fans that burn, a premium on a borrowed engine. That's not 3 accidents. It's one company optimizing for next quarter and trusting you to buy green out of habit. Drop the model you own in the comments. I read them. Number 4. The headache they built in on purpose. Anything over about 25 horsepower has to run the modern emissions kit, a filter and fluid system that burns off soot in a cycle called regen. On the bigger compacts, owners describe the tractor dropping into limp mode, stuck near 1500 RPM for half an hour while it cleans itself, sometimes mid-job. But the kicker landed in early 2026, when the EPA pulled the requirement for one of the failure-prone sensors and called the failing systems a nationwide disaster. When the regulator calls your emissions box a disaster, that's not a forum rant. That's the government agreeing with the guy in muddy boots. That's number 4. Number 3. The part that went to court. In January of 2025, the Federal Trade Commission and several states sued Deere, accusing it of cornering the repair market so only its dealers could fix the machines you supposedly own. Deere called it baseless. Then in April of 2026, Deere agreed to pay $99 million to settle a separate farmer lawsuit over the same thing, and to hand over repair tools for 10 years. No admission of wrongdoing, naturally, but nobody writes a $99 million check over nothing. That's number 3. Number 2. The handshake that wasn't worth the paper. In 2023, Deere signed a memorandum with the American Farm Bureau, a promise to let farmers fix their own equipment. Sounds like a win. But the document wasn't legally enforceable, and in exchange the Farm Bureau agreed to waive off state repair bills. A repair advocacy group called deals like that a pinky swear, and that's generous. Deere can walk the second any real law passes. So the promise to let you fix your tractor came bolted to a clause meant to kill the law that would force it. That's number 2. Number 1. The one that should make you set the checkbook down. Since 2016, the software running a modern Deere is locked. The diagnostic tool that talks to it, called Service Advisor, is dealer only. A repair you're fully capable of doing in your own shop can need their laptop and their permission. Remember ownership, the word I told you to hold. This is where it died. You can own every bolt on that tractor and still not be allowed to fix it without asking. Colorado had to pass the first farm right to repair law in the country just to crack it open. You bought the machine. But they kept the keys. That's number 1. The point was never to scare you off green. Plenty of these machines work hard for decades, and if you love yours, I get it. The point is to make you unupsellable, to walk the lot knowing exactly what the badge is charging you for. So here's the other half, the part nobody puts on a sticker. The machines and the people that quietly did it better, for less. First, the simplest fix to every problem on this list. Stay under about 25 horsepower and the whole emissions headache vanishes. No filter, no fluid, no regen, no limp mode, because the law doesn't require it down there. The Kubota L2501 is the poster child, a small diesel you can actually wrench on. The honest caveat? It's basic, and it's light. You give up loader muscle and comfort for simplicity. But if you want a tractor you can fix in your own barn until you're old, that's the trade worth making. Second, the badge game can work for you once you know it. That borrowed engine? It goes further. A Korean builder called LS M-Tron makes the compacts sold as new Holland boomers and some case machines. Same factory, same iron, usually a friendlier price than the big 2 colors. The caveat's real though. The dealer network is thinner, so confirmed parts and service are close before you sign. But for the buyer who cares about the machine over the mythology, that's a lot of tractor for the money. Third, the underdog story you came for, told straight. The version going around is 2 brothers, a barn, and a better tractor that humbled the giants. The real one is messier, and honestly, it's better. A designer named Peter Pakosh got turned down by Massey Harris, one of the giants of his day. So in 1946, he started building in a basement with his brother-in-law, not a barn, and not quite brothers. Their company, Versatile, built simple 4-wheel drive tractors so much cheaper that farmers flocked to them. Neither stayed independent forever. The giants usually win in the end, which is exactly why the rebadge map matters more than the legend. And the modern underdog? An electric startup called Monarch, that CNN itself called a David and Goliath story, raised a fortune and still collapsed by 2026. Romance doesn't beat a balance sheet, but knowing which machine is actually which does. And yes, I know I just spent 10 minutes dragging the most beloved name in tractors. The core insight is simple though. The green paint stopped being a promise and became a price. The machine got locked, the engine got borrowed, and the badge kept climbing. But you walked the whole list, so you're not the buyer they're counting on anymore. Next time a salesman calls a compact bulletproof, ask what's under the hood, who really built it, and whether you're even allowed to fix it. That one question is worth more than any discount they'll offer to change the subject. If that brake recall rattled you, the next one digs into the transmission that quietly fails on a machine half this list swears by. YouTube thinks you'll like that video, so go click it. And if you made it all the way to the end of this one, you already know why you should subscribe.